Okay, so this is going to be interesting. Dr. Stine, long-time staple in our community. I mean, I think it's fair to say that if you get services in chiropractic or pain management, you probably go to Dr. Stine, and he has gotten involved in, and you know me, I don't do a lot of politics stuff, but he has gotten involved in a ballot initiative that I think is super interesting. It's called Protecting Automobile Accident Victims from Attorney Self-Dealing Act, and it's referred to often as the Uber Initiative. He has been out there learning more about it. He's also been involved in some of the advocacy against this act, and there's actually some really good reasons why people should be against this act, and he's going to share those with me, and I'm obviously going to pick his brain about, you know, why he feels that way, and maybe get some insight into it. So this is what you're doing right now, right?
Yeah. No, it's a thing that can kind of change how we do business in the future. You know, initially it was about automobile accidents, right? And Uber brought this because, you know, they're getting beat up a little bit with lawsuits. The thing is, it affects all injury cases, slip and falls, everything. And what they're trying to do is, you know, the guise is under this thing of, we want the patient to get 75% of their settlement, 25% to the attorney. Well, the problem with that is that 25%, as we read the ballot initiative, includes the medical bills. So it basically makes it almost financially impossible for not only doctors but attorneys to take care of these people. I would say 90% of the time we're taking care of these people on what's called a lien basis. So that means they're getting treatment, nothing out of their pocket. When the case settles, the doctor gets paid, the patient gets their settlement, and the attorney gets his. So, you know, in that situation, you're waiting sometimes up to a year to get reimbursed. The reason I think this is could affect this industry drastically is that not only are they trying to limit the attorney fees, but they're trying to limit what medical doctors, chiropractors, physical therapists, pain management guys can charge. So they're saying, we only want you charging basically a little bit above Medicare. Well, Medicare is about a third of what the usual and customary fees are for these kinds of cases. So most of the time it doesn't even cover, it might cover costs. So there's no reason for an attorney or doctor to take these cases because you're waiting a year just to get your costs back, and there's no, offices can't feasibly do it.
You know, I want to separate this out because we just started taking some of these cases, and the primary driver how we were going to do it is make sure that people that wanted to be healthy could be healthy. So I'm going to separate this out between the medical, which I think is super important, and the attorney. You know, because the initiative, I watched a couple of their videos and stuff, is attorneys embezzling millions. It's not affordable here in California, predatory practices. I think the attorneys are the least likely and the worst people to be delivering the message, because I look at these attorneys and you see them all done up. They got the poodle on the thing and the big expensive office and the bow tie, the whole thing, and you're like, how in the world is this the vessel that should be saying that poor me? They're not poor them, but from the injured person's perspective, I am super interested. Mm-hmm. Can they get care under this bill?
Well, that's the thing. In short, I would say no. I mean, there's not going to be access to care because there's not going to be any doctors that are going to want to treat patients at a loss, and there's not going to be any attorneys that treat patients at a loss. I mean, or take clients as a loss, because, I mean, we're just talking about basic chiropractic, physical therapy, that kind of stuff. I mean, we're not even talking if somebody breaks their leg or somebody needs a surgery or somebody has a brain injury. These are things that obviously are a lot more expensive, and if you cut those doctors down to what Medicare pays, nobody's going to do it.
I hate when attorneys say we're going to fight for you. Like I don't even know what that means. You're going to fight for somebody. That sounds like the attorney's going to make too much and the client's going to get too little, and that's something I don't agree with. But understanding the system, understanding what you have to give to the insurance companies, understanding how it's developed, the process, you can give people more efficient results. Well, one of the ways it's looked at industry-wide is, well, how much are your medical fees? And then there's a multiple for the client.
Right.
If we are going to do it this way, I don't even know how you can get to 100%.
No, and that's what they know that, and that's why this is coming across. You know, they're making it all sexy in the Uber initiative by saying patient's going to get 75%. Well, if you don't read the fine print, basically, you're thinking that's a great idea.
It sounds like a great idea,
right? But their settlement is based on their medical bills. Well, if we already know their medical bills are being cut in a third, if this were to pass, they've just basically reduced their settlement, because now they're not going to be able to get the so 75% is zero, because these people aren't going to be able to get care. The insurance companies are going to know that, and so what they're going to do is they're going to say, yeah, you didn't get any medical care, so I don't know if there's really any reimbursement for you. So that's exactly what's going to happen. They know that's why this is put forward the way it is because they know people aren't going to have attorneys. They know people aren't going to have doctors to take care of them. I mean, we're talking about the financial side of it, but let's talk about people that are truly injured.
That's the side.
Can't get care.
That's the side.
And if they're going to get this minimal, measly settlement at the end for their pain, suffering, time lost work, inconvenience of going to the doctor a couple times a week, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's, you know, I don't want to say it's criminal, but it seems like it's criminal. I mean, it's something that not, you know, they're trying to change the Constitution of California, and that's
the real worry.
People. Huh?
It's going to hurt poor people the most.
Yeah.
If you have insurance and you're getting treatment,
yeah,
then you want to bring the claim later. Your insurance company's going to have a problem with it. You're not going to get a very good settlement, but at least you got treatment. You don't have insurance?
Yeah.
Somebody hits you in a crosswalk, you don't have insurance, that's it.
Yep. And, you know, I wanted to talk about that for a second because, you know, people say, well, can't you just use your health insurance? Sure. If you have adequate health insurance. You know, it's estimated that there's between 7 and 9 million office visits a year for injured people in accidents in California. So now you've just infused 9 million office visits in the healthcare system that's already impacted, that's already tough to get care, that's already 6 months to get an MRI or 6 months to get approval. I mean, it's going to crush the healthcare system because there's going to be too many people now in this healthcare system that we're getting care elsewhere, getting it covered elsewhere outside their health insurance. And even that being said, you use your health insurance, I would tell you over 90% of health insurance is reimbursable. So it doesn't matter if they pay for your health insurance, they want their money back. They're the first ones in line. And now you're limited to contract amounts. So there's a whole scenario that using your health, I mean, I tell people if they want me to bill their health insurance, I'll bill it. But I generally advise them against that because there's no advantage to it. Because if you use your health insurance, you got to reimburse them. There's no advantage to using your health insurance. And you know, like you said, we're talking about people that have health insurance.
Right.
I mean, if we just talk about the high desert in general, I would say over 60% of people have HMO health insurance. So now you got to go to your primary. You know, you got to get that appointment. Then if you need specialized care, chiropractic, physical therapy, pain management, you got to wait for the referral. You know, we're talking, it could be months before you get care. And generally in these more soft tissue injuries, I would tell you, time is of the essence. You want to get treatment right away. Otherwise, there's scar tissue. There's all kinds of other things that can start happening that then we can't fix.
Right. The injury claims have always been were designed around getting people better.
Right.
It's not about seeing how long you can stay sick. I'm sure there's bad actors, but really it's when do you feel better and then move on. You were hit by a drunk driver in the crosswalk. You don't have health insurance. Well, you're just never going to work again. I guess that's how that ends.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to get treatment. It's not going to be a good scenario.
No. And now you've said that there's other systems in other states, and I don't remember what you called it. Did you call it MedPay and other stuff that is a better solution? Yeah.
So even here, you know, I mean, I know on my policy I have MedPay, but, you know, not everybody has MedPay. MedPay used to be 100% coverage. Obviously, you can only use it when when you're involved in an auto accident, your insurance company pays the medical bills for you and anybody in your car. Up to usually an amount. Sometimes it's $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, whatever that amount is. But in California, a lot of agents, I would say, or brokers don't really push the MedPay thing, because the first question they'll ask somebody is, well, do you have health insurance? Yeah. Oh, you don't need MedPay then. Which is not necessarily true, because, obviously, like we just talked about, if you're using your HMO, you're not going to be able to get the care you need. And at least with MedPay, you can go anywhere you want. They cover the bill. Yeah, like in Utah, every single driver has MedPay. They call it PIP over there. But so anybody that gets injured in an accident can go anywhere they want and get care. I wish we had that here, but yeah.
Because for you, it's always been about getting people better.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we have to treat people just for a couple weeks and they're good, Our goal, and as I've instructed all my doctors, is that we want to get these patients better as fast as we can. They don't want to be coming to the doctor 3 times a week. They got to work. They got kids. They got homework they got to do with their kids. And, people are busy generally. And taking time out of your day for an hour to go to the doctor, sometimes people don't have that. So
get better.
Yeah.
Get better is the goal.
Yeah.
And that's what your practice has been built around, is getting people better. That's why people go there.
Yeah.
You got to be, I'm sure there's people, there's some kind of condition where people want to go to the doctor, but I don't have it.
Yeah.
It's like the last resort.
Well, yeah, and that's why I like kind of doing this kind of work, is because they come in with an injury. We hopefully can correct that injury, and they're on their merry way. It's not like it's a chronic condition that takes more treatment. And that kind of like we talked about, when you wait, now your condition has a greater possibility to become a chronic condition, which is a lot harder to take care of. When they're acute and they're right after the accident, usually if we jump on it we can usually get them fixed up pretty quick.
And even though it's a little off topic, your profession is, you were so far ahead of the curve, but your profession now is so in vogue. People are realizing, I don't want painkillers.
Right.
I don't want drugs in my system. I don't want all this. Hey, what if someone puts their hands on me, or what if somebody shows me how to get better, make my body make me better?
Yeah.
That's what people want.
Yeah, give them tools to, stretches and other things.
15 years ago, people would have thought you're crazy.
Yeah.
And now they're saying, oh no, that other way, going to the traditional doctor and getting the pain meds, that's crazy.
Well, yeah, especially because we've almost kind of have an epidemic of this opioid abuse, right? It's funny because we have a pain management doctor at our office, but him and I have consulted, and we both agree we don't do narcotics. We're not prescribing narcotics, because that just gets people on this road that sometimes they can't come back from, and then they just become pill seekers, right? Mm-hmm. So we've eliminated that from our office because we both agreed that that's not an avenue we want to go down. And we were trying to develop this, with medical doctors and chiropractor. Well, I was the chiropractor, and then we were talking about bringing a physical therapist on board, pain management on board. And I remember I'm in this meeting, and there's a spine surgeon. I won't mention his name, but there's a spine surgeon in the room. And I was telling him just how still kind of archaic the way we treat back pain. They go to their primary doctor, who admittedly will tell you, yeah, I have 3 hours of training in med school for musculoskeletal problems. So we're sending them there to the guy that really kind of is a jack of all trades, right? He's responsible for a lot of stuff. But sometimes in certain areas, that's really not his. Just like it wouldn't be me to go, hey, come in, I can, do surgery on you. No, that's not my thing, right? And I remember the spine surgeon stand up, and he said, Dr. Stine's exactly right. He goes, all my patients before surgery that have back issues, I send to Dr. Stine first. Because if we can fix them up that way and they don't have to have surgery, we're ahead of the game.
Ahead of the game. Yeah. Well, anything else on this initiative that the group's been talking about, or any alternatives, or is there anything else or is it just, hey, we got a bad bill and hopefully it doesn't go through?
Yeah, I mean, they tried it in I think it was Nevada they tried it in, and I think before it actually went to the ballot, there was some kind of compromise. And I'm in agreement. I think there is some reform that needs to happen because there's unscrupulous doctors that charge stupid amounts for things, right? Attorneys charging greater than 40% for things. But so there probably does need to be a little bit of reform, and that's why I think my gut tells me that there's probably going to be some kind of compromise. But as it stands now, Uber has deep pockets, and it's hard to raise enough money to fight Uber.
What I was reading is there's almost already been $100 million between all these groups just over this issue.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, Uber can't get off the hook all the way. I mean, they're the ones who they pushed that Prop 22, which I don't disagree with. I think that they should have gotten a carve out, but I think everyone should have got a carve out from that terrible decision to make everyone employees. If you're in the same, essentially, if you're in the same line of work, you lose the ability to have independent contractor status unless you're a carve out. And they were lumped in and they were cooked. That was the end of them here. Yeah. They put it on there and they got excluded. But gosh, I feel so bad for all the industries who didn't have the money and our truck drivers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's where it started. Dynamex, the truck driver sitting there picking up a load and got an IWC order and said, well, we think you're more of an employee. The guy owned his own truck.
Yeah.
Unbelievably bad decision. And then they codified it. So, only special people like Uber and attorneys and accountants and real estate agents, they get the carve out so then they can have independent contractors. There's just too many laws anyway. But the fact is, here's Uber saying, we want to be treated differently again, really.
Yeah. Well, they spend about $300 million fighting that thing. Mm-hmm. They spend a lot of money.
And I don't think they're wrong, but it just shows the audacity of them that if they don't like something, it's like, we're going to try to do it our way.
Yeah, I think that, even in this scenario, what the other side is wanting is like, hey, why don't you guys do background checks on your drivers? Like, the knock against Uber's been, well, there's you've probably seen some of the billboards, a sexual assault occurs in an Uber every 8 minutes. Like, there is a real issue there, and I think that needs to be addressed as well.
Well, there you have it. We went over the ballot initiative. It's still in the signature phase, right? They still got those annoying people outside the grocery store asking for signatures. I always tell them I'm not registered to vote, so I won't be signing. But so they're still getting signatures, and we'll see how this shakes out.
Well, I remember it's funny because the guy approached me. Well, when I saw you at the grocery store the other day, this guy's talking to me, and he has 6, 7 ballot initiatives he's trying to get signatures on. I said, well, I'll look at them, but dude, that Uber one's bad. And I explained it to him. I literally explained the whole Uber initiative to him he goes, yeah, my other ones I get $15 for anyway, so I'm like, well, yeah. So that was kind of funny, but at least I had a person that I could explain to what you're having people sign.
Yeah.
They go, this isn't going to benefit you.
Especially,
but let me tell you what this is about.
If you get hit by a car right now getting these signatures, and this goes through, you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Oh, you bet, man.